Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Nothing like finishing up a great weekend, whether it's practice, racing. Hope everybody had a good time this Memorial Day weekend. Let me know down below if you raced anywhere and how you did. So mine was pretty good. I was able to get out to Barnstormers in Chester, New York for the first time on Saturday. Weather forecast sucked compared to what was originally forecasted. So the original forecast was supposed to be 30% chance of showers at 7 a.m., which was fine because they don't open until about 10, 11 anyway. So, yeah, so it was like every half hour, 45 minutes, light drizzle or a very brief shower, enough to make you run for cover and water the track, but not to the point where the track was super muddy or anything, which was cool. So it was like the track was watered pretty frequently, so the cars aren't too terribly dirty, which is great because I have a potentially short turnaround for hopefully this weekend at Trains and Lanes in Easton, Pennsylvania. Can't really find a pit guy. I always like to go ahead of time knowing that I have somebody. I've done it plenty of times before where, you know, we'll talk online. So, oh yeah, you know, I'll pit for you. And then come main time, it's like, oh, you're in the A's at the end of the night, and I'm not staying that long. And then I'm asked out. It's actually pretty frustrating. So I had it happen to me at a national event, but you know, it is what it is. I get it, you know. So yeah, so I do have some footage from Barnstormers, kind of doing like a vlog type thing, trying to come up with the direction. I'm just starting out on this video editing, which I enjoy doing, so right now, so bear with me. The content will only get better as I learn more and more stuff. I know I do need to upgrade my GoPro because I'm still on like the Hero 7, and I think it's up to like 13 now, so we'll be working on that. But I wanted to do a quick rundown of how the cars performed. Still have a little bit of braking left to do for sure, but the more I drive these cars, the more phenomenal they get. The nitro buggy was amazing. I actually ended up making 0 changes to the car because I do have that Jared Tebow setup on here. I think the only thing that I'm going to try, and this is after a run at Trains and Lanes first, is probably give it a little bit more rear toe. But otherwise, the nitro buggy was pretty solid. A little bit more dialed in than the truggy, compared to just throwing it out onto the track with the setup. So the 82 was giving me some issues towards the end there, which is why I don't have any videos of the nitro buggy running, which seemed a lot more, like I said, stable for me. Pretty sure the plug's going or is gone, and at that point it was getting late. You know, I did promise the wife that I'd leave by a certain time, so I wanted to sneak in some more truggy time, because you know, we all know I'm a truggyist. And for sure it's definitely a plug, so I'm going to replace the plug on that. Tune was pretty well. Make sure you check out that idle gap video. That saves a ton of headaches. Just had to raise the idle just a smidge, but it wasn't too far off from our initial mark of 0.50. So the Nitro Buggy was amazing. Like I said, I'm gonna, once I run it at trains and lanes on no layout, weather permitting this weekend, I'll see if I need to add in some more rear toe. Otherwise, the car was pretty awesome. Can't complain. I think I got about a quarter of a gallon left for braking, and she's been amazing. The other changes that I did make to the Nitro Buggy was, since Barnstormers also had very similar tight 180s, or you had to like pin it really hard after a hairpin turn. Like if you check on my video, at the top right of the track was hard braking zone into a hairpin. Kind of got to take it a little wide and punch it to clear over that jump there. After speaking to somebody with some engine tuning knowledge, I did increase my header length from 75 to 80. The 75 wasn't OS. I had an 80 Ultimate Racing in my bag. I do want to try the 85. It definitely gave me some more punch on the bottom, and I did drop a shim as well on the head, so a lot more torquier down there. I'll see how it goes at trains and lanes, because trains and lanes usually has really tight 180 followed by a big jump after, where you really need to, so instead of swinging it wide, I can cut it close to the pipe and just punch it. So we'll see how that goes. Still waiting on the reveal of the new layout. I know it's going to be a banger. But yeah, man, these cars are amazing. The chassis still looks brand new, pretty much. Can't really complain too much. Didn't make any changes, like I said. So Truggy's always a beast. I did have those front inner camber links all the way down, which gave it too much steering, and it was causing the rear end to over rotate. So it was really loose into the corner, out of the corner. But I have my suspicions on why it's loose on power out of the corner. Again, I have Jared Tebow set up, and it's more geared towards a hard packed, somewhat grooved track. Like towards the end of the day, like it trains and lanes, stuff like that, or even Barnstormers when it gets dried out. I'm sure towards the end of the day it stopped raining and the track was drying out, and a visible groove was starting to come in, and traction was coming up considerably. So I went from the bottom up to the middle on the front inner camber link, and that took away some steering. It helped a lot, but it was still too loose for my liking on power. So what I did was I brought it back in, and I did add some rear toe on the C block, which I'm gonna actually probably take that out and add it to the D block. But I think she also needs a little bit of anti-squat. I like to drive with a little bit of anti-squat. So right now I have the pills, the D block's in the center, and then the C block is center in. So what I'll go ahead and do is on the C is I'll put it up to where it's upper and out, and see how that goes. If not, I'll revert back to middle and go from there. It's a different school of thought. Some people like to adjust rear toe, on the D. Some like to on the C. Even though, and I'm sure I'll get some arguments about it, drop them down below. C is primarily used for anti-squat adjustments, D-block, rear toe. So yeah, so I'll do those changes. But the truck was pretty awesome towards the end there. If you haven't checked out the video, definitely check it out. I know it's not the best. I'm hopefully trying to source a video editor that can help me zoom in a little bit on the video from the GoPro without paying a ridiculous amount of money for it. So, but yeah, the truggy, once I made the changes to the rear, was just, it's still a little bit loose on power, but manageable. I can, pretty much hang out with my wang out on the corners. Grip and rip, whatever sayings you got, it was a freaking blast to drive, man. Like, the lap times just kept coming down and down and down. Fastest lap that I got was a 29.2, and at the time, the fastest, I think, for the session was like mid 28s. I know once I left, the track continued drying out, pace got faster, that time went away. But for someone who hasn't been able to race as much as he used to, so there's definitely some rust there, and trying to get the cars comfortable, learn the cars, what they can do, to consistently hear the lap times dropping lap after lap after lap, and being so consistent, relatively for someone who's rusty, was very promising. And once I find something that's a little comfortable for me, and I can get some more time in, I think we're going to be putting a hurting on those B mains. So, coming for y'all. Yeah, so that was the rundown of the weekend. Got a quick turnaround, like I said. Gonna probably refresh the diffs, check the shocks. The weather forecast is calling for a rain out on Saturday, so if anything, well, I hope it's not the case. If anything, I'll do a practice on Sunday on the new layout, weather permitting again. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'll try to get some footage from that there, and vlog style, stuff like that. So, but yeah, these techno cars, man, I can't say enough. Thank you so much for those who have helped convince me to make the switch. You know who you are.